What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. Today, I'll be talking about 28 Years Later. It's been 18 years since we have had a sequel into this world that Danny Boyle brought us with 28 Days Later. One of my most anticipated movies of the year. Was so excited to see it. Let's get into this. So this movie is definitely set into more of a modern time. We follow a group of survivors that live on a small island, and we're kind of following with their day-to-day. They send one of their guys out on a mission to the mainland where all the infected are, and then he takes his small boy who goes by the name of Spike, and then from there we get lost into this world of these infected people and really reconnect ourselves with this world of what's been going on. So 28 years later, well, let's just go back a little bit. I was a big fan of 28 Days Later. I remember when this movie came out, so different for a zombie infected movie. I just vividly remember like first seeing this and just the style of how it was shot, the camera it was shot on. It just had this very unique look, but it worked. It worked in this world that we were in. And then we got 28 Weeks Later, a little bit more star power, shot on a different camera. I recently rewatched that movie last week when I was traveling back home from a trip. There's something about 28 Weeks Later I really appreciate, and I think it goes into the style of this world. Like rewatching the movie, it's a pretty simple script. There's not too much that goes on. I think it does a good job of keeping us in this world to know, what's going on with the rage virus, and then pushing us to this point where potentially there is a cure. And it's so funny, you're like rewatching that movie, and then recently I've been playing The Last of Us and I've watched the series, so it almost feels like The Last of Us could have been pulling from some inspiration from like the whole 28 days 28 weeks later. But kind of seeing this zombified movie of you can get infected, but now there could be a cure to it. I really wanted to know what could happen next, and after 18 years we're finally going back into this world. And this movie is something. Let's just get into it. So let's go into the overall positives of this movie. There were, so this movie was shot on an iPhone, or at least multiple iPhones. And I completely blanked on that going into this movie, because there are plenty of moments where what they do with some of the action scenes and the kill scenes, if you don't know that they shot it on an iPhone, it comes off very, very bizarre. It almost, initially my brain was going like, well, that's a very strange editing choice. Like, why would they want to do that? And then after the movie ends, I'm like, oh yeah, I completely forgot they had shot this on an iPhone and built these crazy rigs of using multiple iPhones to kind of add these like effects of like rotating around characters and doing some cool stuff there. So not thinking about that, the style and some of these things, I could see a lot of people, like especially myself, like I said, like it's very weird and it's very different, and you see it multiple times, so you kind of have to get used to it. But when you think about how they filmed this and the technology that they used, it is quite impressive. And I think a lot of the cinematics on this are really gorgeous. I love the fact that we're kind of built this world like we're on a small island away from the mainland, so we can see like people are aware of the infected and what it can do, so they've been able to distance themselves where they can get some form of safety. So Danny Boyle's back directing this. We also have Alex Garland as the writer on this, but the other positive thing to note is definitely the star power here. We have Aaron Taylor Johnson playing Jamie, and he's primarily in this in the first half of the movie, but he plays the father of a child actor who goes by the name of Spike, Alfie Williams. And I thought Alfie did a fantastic job. He's definitely the star of this movie. We spend a lot of time with him, as well as Jodie Comer, who plays the mother. They have a really great relationship, meaning the son and the mother. And that is one of the big elements, and we'll get into the elements in just a little bit. But even like the smaller roles, the actors, Ralph, is it Fiennes or Fiennes, who plays a doctor. I was so fascinated seeing him being in this movie and didn't know how that would play out, but his role is definitely one of the stronger roles in this movie, and we get to spend more time with him near the end, but he plays a pretty critical part. But I thought all the actors that played the zombies and the new zombies that we get in this did a great job. So really the acting is such a strong part of this movie. The writing overall is pretty good. I think it's just really getting into the various themes of this where I think a lot of people could get lost, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But I think the other strong point is really having Danny coming back, knowing this world and putting us back into this world, because after 18 years, it feels like we're getting right back to where we left off, which is really great. Like the work they did with the zombies and the rage virus, and like getting us back into these bloody moments when people are getting infected and turning, and then the chase sequences, like all of that is just like a very familiar feeling. And I really appreciate that, because it feels like, okay, we're back into this world, we're back into the rage virus. Now let's kind of pick up to like what's been going on. And I think another like really great thing about this, especially dealing with these younger actors, is how they were able to place them in this unique environment where they've been away from things. And some of the other smaller characters we get to see, they bring up a number of things, whether it be technology or television shows, radios, things like that, where we have this child actor who is clueless on all of that. He doesn't know what a smartphone is, or a phone at that. He doesn't know what a TV is or TV stations. He's been away from any of that, living on this island. So it's leaving that island, he's, captivated by this world that he's never been able to explore before. So it sets up the excitement of where these future movies could go with this character, as he's going to be traveling and potentially learning about things and knowing like what smartphones are and technology and communication. I'm very fascinated to know like what's going on with the rest of the world, because these movies focus so much on the UK. Like, is the rage virus in Asia or the United States, Africa? Like, is it worldwide? I don't think we truly know that yet, but maybe we'll get those answers. And I think just the chemistry a lot of these characters played off of one another, with the environment, with the rage virus, like everything that they're given was really, really well done. Going into the negatives, this is a movie, like, I'm probably more nitpicky on it than true negatives, where I've seen a lot of mixed reviews out there for this. And I think a lot of it goes into the story of this movie and the sub themes of this, because this movie goes all over the place. We have a very unique opening sequence that doesn't really tie in until moments later in the movie. And then we're dealing with numerous things. Primarily, we're dealing with just relationships. A lot of this movie deals with, the thought of masculinity, and the first half of this movie is more so about a father with his young boy, and they're going on this mission away from everyone, which we don't really know what the mission is per se. I almost thought that this would be, they're basically going to scavenge for things that they may need, but it's more of a mission of like, can you survive in this world? Like, do you have what it takes to kill one of these infected people? And that's the other thing that we'll get into, is that, the infected, they are people that have a virus. And, in the first two movies, it was never clear if you would call these people zombies. Zombie does get mentioned in this movie, so I think we could say like they're essentially zombies. But they have moved these zombies to a whole nother level in this movie, where like I don't know if you could really call them that. We deal with alphas, and this kind of goes back into that sub-theme of masculinity. It's these like supersized, like steroid injected zombies essentially that lead packs of zombies. And we spend quite a bit of time with these alphas and trying to as a viewer, of understand like what's going on here. What is their role? What is their purpose? How, I don't think we know like how they've transitioned to this, because like I view a lot of this stuff as like watching The Walking Dead over many seasons. We can kind of see like how the zombies progress or degress, if that's a word, how they essentially just change over time, right? Because we have bloaters, if you want to call them that, just using a Last of Us terminology, but there's zombies that are bigger in size that can really just crawl along the ground. You have just the classic zombie look of just the average person just running rampagedly to go feast. And now we have these alpha, which are these massive humans, these giants of humans that are kind of leading these packs of zombies. But I love that it's throwing in hints that, there could be more to this virus. There could be things within this virus that we don't really know about. And maybe it's just how individuals have their connection with the virus. Does the virus do different things? Do they still have any kind of brain functionality other than just wanting to eat? Is there a sense of like needing more than just eating? A family, survival, like shelter, like communication? I don't know. I think we're going to dive deeper into that the more movies that we get. And the other things in terms of like the themes of this movie is really just dealing with life and death. It's understanding life, and then knowing that we're all going to die, and we could all die in numerous ways, and how do we cope with that, and how do we celebrate that life? And that's where we have one character coming in and the role that they play, and they do some very, very weird yet unique things that really kind of dive into those themes of this movie. And I think these kind of heavier themes, putting all of this weight on this young boy, this young child actor, or the boy in this movie, if you just look at it from that, is impressive when you think of it long term, because there's a lot that his brain's processing right now of just being stuck in this little world where it doesn't really function as like a cult, but you could almost think of it like that. I mean, these people, they seem to just worship like being able to kill the infected, and that's all they really care about. Raise our families, grow boys to be men, send the men out, kill the infected, and come back home. Like, that kind of seems what their agenda is, but maybe there's more. It's more that we'd have to explore with. And then the last moments of this movie go into a realm of creativity and entertainment and culture that I was not expecting at all. And it makes me very curious of where these future movies are going to lead us, because it's like it's a whole other movie that just jumps at you out of nowhere. And yeah, my brain is still kind of processing like what is the idea here. Like, clearly they've got a vision of where all this is going, and I'm intrigued to see it, but I hope it's good, because I can definitely see there's a lot in this movie that a lot of people probably won't care for. And then talking about future films, that they've said like, oh yeah, like here's 28 years later, and by the way, we've got 2 follow-up projects with it. I've read that there could be a third project, so we could get, if you include 28 years later, we could be getting 4 new movies in this world, which is wild. But the last I read is there is a follow-up to 28 years later that's supposed to be dropping in January of next year. That makes me nervous. January is typically the where more of the worst movies of the year kind of release, but I don't know. It could always get delayed or rescheduled. But man, 28 years later, like, it's a movie, like, the more and more I think about it and sit on it, the more I do enjoy it. And there are a lot of creative, cool things in this movie, but there are moments in this movie where I do question if I can get on board with it. And I think mostly it just kind of deals with the style of this movie and how it's kind of split up into these almost different movies. It's almost like 2 different stories in one that you just have to kind of wrap your brain around. And I think just some of the creative choices and what they've done especially with a lot of the camera angles and everything kind of changes here and there. Yet there are some pretty cool shots, and there are a lot of like cinematic moments that are standouts. It's one, like, if this stays in theater a little bit longer, I may try to go watch it one more time, but it's definitely one I can't wait to watch again when it comes out. Just to really just stay in this world and kind of see like what I think about it and get excited about the future projects. So 28 years later, 18 years since 28 weeks later, we're back in this world. Danny Boyle is back. Zombies are back. They're still the same. They're still the rage virus, but now we're like in a whole new world with an island, new people, following a young boy as he's kind of going on this journey to like really learn about himself and the world and how he can survive in a world with zombies. It's wild. It's unique. It's interesting. I'm here for it in the long haul, so if you are, let me know in the comments. Would love to know your thoughts on 28 years later. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know. Like, there's a lot in this movie, and I'm trying to like get around any kind of spoiler talk as I can, but I'm curious if there was any like shot or moment that you really liked in this movie. Let's talk about that in the comments. If there was anything you couldn't get on board with, let's talk about that as well. I'm curious because I think there's a lot of different sub themes going on in this, a lot of points made where it could just be a lot to get at once in this movie when they could have spaced it out some. But 28 years later, if it's still in theaters, I would highly recommend going to check it out. This is definitely one you want to see on a big screen for what it is. Like, I get it, like what I've kind of talked a lot about it in different ways, but I did enjoy watching this. It's very entertaining, even though there are some like pretty crazy unique things that are thrown at you and some moments where you're gonna be in your chair going, what am I even watching? But yeah, that's my take on 28 years later. Thank you so much again for stopping by. If you're new here, my name's Luke. I love talking about movies. I'm an app developer. I also have a Marvel-based podcast. You can find the links to everything below. I just released a video for Megan 2.0. I'll have one upcoming video on F1 and many, many more. So be sure to stay tuned. All right, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out so much. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Keep watching movies. All right, we'll see you soon.